Hey there, guys, it's Aaron here, and I am once more joined by the legend himself, Stephen Tailby. How you doing this fine morning, Stephen?
Hello. Yeah, good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing very well. So we are here to talk about PS Plus, which has finally had its launch this week in the US, giving us a look at the full PS Plus library, which is a lot closer, if not identical, to what we can expect here in the UK when it launches next week. But with all the drama of prices, PAL PS1 games, lacking libraries, streaming, and all that sort of stuff, cutting through all of that leaves one big question: is PS Plus worth it? And that's what we're here to discuss today. So I think we'll start by asking you, Stephen, which tier would you go for personally, if any, out of the three that are available now?
I think if I was like detached from like games media and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
and just as a pure consumer, I'd probably go for extra myself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Maybe premium. I don't know. I think I would be on the fence because the main reason I say extra is because for your money, I think the extra games collection is actually pretty good. Like, there's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of really good PS4 stuff. There's some excellent PS5 games on there, like
Uh,
Returnal, Demon's Souls. So to me, that seems worth it. And then obviously you're going to be getting, uh, some new releases, some day one releases like Stray is coming
mm-hmm.
immediately to extra.
Yeah.
So that's quite encouraging. Um, and then when it comes to premium, I think it's a little bit of a harder sell, even though there's a lot of PS3 stuff on there, some really good stuff actually,
Mm-hmm.
and some cool like PS1, PS2 games as well. But I think at the moment the collection isn't quite big enough
Yeah.
to warrant the leap.
Mm-hmm. I think I feel much the same in terms of like it is a little bit of a difficult situation for us just because we are involved in games media. So like most of the stuff that I'm seeing in PS Plus Extra that is the big selling stuff I have like played or reviewed or whatever throughout the last year or so. And but like as like an average consumer, if I was sitting there and maybe I've only played one or two of these games, it's such a good value for money because you're looking at games that will still cost you over £50, £60 or dollars, whatever. You know, you're spending a lot of money on these games. And the fact is, like, if you even just went for a month of extra, battled through a lot of games like Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut, Death Stranding Director's Cut, as you were saying, Demon's Souls, Returnal, you're getting a
Yeah,
few £100s worth of games just right there in that one tier. And I think there is a lot of stuff, even stuff that I haven't played actually, that I'll be very tempted to check out when, like, with PS Plus Extra. The the premium tier for me just isn't really the one, but I'm not really
yeah,
the market for it. I'm not
sure,
really interested in retro games. I sort of like, I say retro games, but like, you know, the PS3 stuff.
yeah,
I played that back then, and you know, that's I've passed my time now to play. I'm not really overly interested, and I think if you are much the same, there isn't much reason to go up to premium, especially because the PS1, 2, and PSP library is pretty lacking in comparison. When they say like the hundreds of games that you get, classic games, they're meaning 30 PS1, PS2, PSP games, and then, you know, 300 PS3 games.
right,
So
yeah,
there's
yeah.
a real, I feel like if there was more in terms of the older generations, maybe that would be more worth it. If you're just wanting to play some of the PS3 games from like 10 years ago or so, that's fair enough. But for me, I would probably go with extra, if anything. But like, so obviously one of the biggest competitors to this, or the comparison, sorry, is Game Pass. So do you think it's comparable? Do you think it's how it lines up compared to that? What are you thinking?
I mean, I think it is. I mean, like there is a comparison to be drawn there, but I think it's a slightly different proposition in
Mm-hmm.
that, I feel like Game Pass is a little bit more curated. I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really have any experience with it firsthand, but I just know that um, they, I think they settle on, is it roughly about 100 or so games, and they just like cycle stuff in and out. Um,
Yeah.
Whereas Sony here has kind of like backed the dump truck up with like all the PS3 stuff from PlayStation Now, and so we've got just like this huge pile of stuff. So I feel like they've gone for quantity, which is valuable in a sense. And like I said, there is some really good stuff among the games on Premium and especially Extra. If you want to pick through and like find the kind of the needles in the haystack, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think value-wise, it's not too bad. When you consider like the annual price is cheaper than if you were doing the rolling monthly on Game Pass. Like so it does kind of, it is cheaper in a sense. But I think that's reflected in what you're getting, because like I say, it's not all solid gold stuff, right?
Yeah. When I was looking at it in the overview video, it was kind of like when you went into the PS3 library, you had a lot of really interesting looking games, and then the further down you went, you were just like, I have never heard of this, I've never seen this game before. So I think there is a lot of rubbish in there, to be honest. And I think that the area that they're going to struggle with the most is the lack of the day one content, because obviously we know that Stray's coming on day one, but I think so many people, no matter what you hear about this service, they're going to come in sort of half expecting that, to get more of these like big games added as the months go on. And I kind of think it's a shame to a degree that I would never personally expect something like God of War to be on this service on day one. But I think something like The Last of Us Part 1 Remake would have been a really, really, really good choice to add in there day one. So I think there are some issues in terms of like what people will probably expect, because even no matter how much you say or trying to explain that this isn't Game Pass, people are still going to go in expecting Game Pass in a way. And like you're saying, I think like Game Pass is far more curated into, it always feels like there's something sort of relevant coming out, like a game that is a bit more popular at the time, and you go, oh, like those are the kind of games I would like to check out. So I think the big question with PS Plus now is going to be like, what kind of games are we getting as it moves forward and it starts to build on the service and expand its library? But do you think, are you hopeful that it's something that, well, what do you think the reaction is going to be to this when it's like out fully worldwide? What are people going to be positive about it, or a bit, unimpressed? What are you thinking there?
I feel like the reception so far has been pretty lukewarm. But what I will say is that Game Pass has had years to kind of grow and figure out what it is. Whereas, Sony's only just relaunching PS Plus like this week, right? Well, for US anyway. And so this is like their very day one stuff. So it's like, I wonder what the comparison would be like to the day one of Game Pass. I wonder what comparison that would be like. But anyway, my point was that like in a few months, I wonder whether people will have a different reaction to it. Like, it seems like Sony isn't afraid of putting their games on the service. It's just going to be sort of like 6 months, 12 months later, which I think is fine. And that does give people more value and something to look forward to. Like with the classic games as well. I think they've said they're going to be adding games on each tier kind of monthly, right? So it is going to grow and improve over time. I just think that maybe this initial reaction is probably going to be a little bit like, I don't know. I mean, it's so hard to say because there is some real good value to be found here. It is worth the money. It's just when you look at kind of the extra stuff that's sort of like not quite to the same quality level as you want, it can be a bit like disheartening maybe. But yeah, I think it's generally pretty good.
Yeah, I got to say, like, having looked the first time I saw the service, I was looking at the deluxe version, which didn't have cloud streaming.
Yes. Yeah.
Looking at the cloud streaming version with the PS3 games, I think I was quite impressed. I was like, oh, there are actually like a lot of games included in this where you are getting a lot of value for your money. But it's just depending on like whether you think that these older games are something that you would be interested in, something that you would be interested in playing. And obviously that as well depends on internet speeds.
Yep.
Because I think Sony's giving out minimums, and those minimums are just not really like real world scenario what you're going to need to cloud stream.
Yeah.
I think you're going to need to have a lot higher. So that obviously could cut out a lot of people maybe with slower internet speeds that just isn't really possible to play it in a satisfying way, at least.
Yeah.
I thought it was all right. It was my first experience with cloud streaming this week, and I thought it was okay, but at the same time, I'm a big snob for like high frame rates and, you know, really responsive and all this kind of stuff. So playing it, I was sitting there like, oh, this feels a bit slow, but it was also a PS3 game with, you know, a far lower frame rate.
Right.
But I think it will really be telling the problem, or the fear, I suppose, is like whether or how hard Sony goes for this over the next year or so. I think like come kind of like you're saying, like what did Game Pass look like in day one, and look at it now. It's obviously Game Pass has been out for quite a while now.
Yeah.
To be at this point where people go, oh, this is like the best deal in gaming. So I'd be curious to see what it's like come the launch of the PS6. You know, way down the line. Like, is
exactly.
PS Plus still the big thing for Sony? Are they still pushing for that? And is it just as good, if not better, than Game Pass at that point? I think, regardless, you're going to have to give it the time to sort of find its feet, because,
For sure. Yeah.
you know, launch things are never really the full representation of the product. So it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, we're just going to stop it there, I think. Keep it short and sweet.
Cool.
Thanks again to everyone that has tuned in to listen to us rant about all things PlayStation Plus. Of course, we want to know what you think about all of this. Which tiers will you be picking up, or will you be avoiding the whole service entirely? And while you're down there commenting, why not leave a like and maybe even subscribe to the channel? Anyway, guys, it's been good having you, and I'll see you next time right here on Push Square.